There are two types of forecasting models. One is your qualitative models, another one is your quantitative model. Under the qualitative model, the characteristics is judgmental, it is a educated guess, it is based on intuition, knowledge and experience in that particular field. Quantitative model, they are mathematical in nature, they are more consistent because they are working on the real data. There is some objective, and in a quantitative model they work on a lot of information. So basically we will go for qualitative method, then we will go for the quantitative models. If we see the qualitative forecasting model, basically they are non-mathematical, human judgments are involved, and they are not objective, they are subjective oriented. Now, what is the strength of that qualitative forecasting model? It incorporates the latest change in the environment. Weaknesses are biasness because direct interaction with the expert. It is a low accuracy method, but it is very fast. So you can say if we want to have the earliest forecast, then we will go for the forecast or the qualitative forecasting models. When we discuss in detail, we will also quote several examples for the qualitative forecasting models. These are some of the examples of the qualitative forecasting models, just like executive opinion, market research, Delphi. Here are the characteristics. If you just focus your attention on the left side column, characteristics, strength and the weaknesses. And if you just see that Delphi is the most popular and the most known qualitative forecasting models, which involves a group of experts. Strength is it is a long term, weakness is only the time consuming. So in case of executive opinion, it is a group of management, and strength is for making a strategy, we should go for the executive opinion. In the market research, we always focus on several surveys and the interviews with our customer. The strength is, since we are focusing or we are taking the interviews from the customer, then it gives more closer preference to our customer. Only weakness is that for having the market research, there is a need to prepare a good questionnaire. If the questionnaire is good, then the market research survey will bring a good result as a qualitative forecasting models. If you just see, with this help of this diagram, I have tried that how qualitative methods are working. Basically, they take the help of executive judgment, they take the root cause problem, they also depend on the market research or panel consensus, then Delphi method, and they also take the historical analogy. Historical analogy, that this thing has happened in the past, then it will also happen in the future also. For example, if we say that the more customers are using CNG in place of petrol, this is in the past. When the price goes up, the customers use more CNG. So that is a historical analogy. So we will go for this type of a qualitative method. Friends, we are discussing qualitative methods of forecasting. Under qualitative method, the first most important method is your Delphi method. In the Delphi method, we choose the expert, to participate representing a variety of knowledge or knowledgeable people in different areas. Through questionnaire or email, we try to obtain the forecast and any premises or qualification for the forecast from all the participants. The most important thing in Delphi, we do not discuss on the problem together. For example, if we want to have a forecast that for how many years our oil resources or the petroleum resources will survive or will remain, we will conduct a survey, we will send a questionnaire through email, then an expert will say by 2040, some will say 2050, some will say 2060. Then we will see, we will take the feedback from the expert. And the most important thing in the Delphi is the selection of expert. Because the accuracy of the forecasting in Delphi method depend on the capability and the experience and the knowledge of the expert. As a third step, we summarize the result, whatever we are getting through email, and we try to have a summarization and we will define or refine our forecast. Suppose we have estimated that by 2030 our petrol reserve will be exhausted. Now some will say, or the consensus is reaching for 2040. So we will try to develop a new question that will or the whether our oil resources will remain with us by 2040. Again we will send to the expert, same expert with their opinion to get their opinion, and we will repeat the step unless until we get a final result from all the experts. That is the one of the beauty of the Delphi method, and we use it to get the result in a faster space. Now we will come to the quantitative forecasting method. In case of qualitative forecasting method, one is your Delphi, another one is market research, another one is executive opinion. In all forecasting methods related to the qualitative nature are basically subjective in nature. They are not mathematical. They are qualitative in nature. When we come to the quantitative forecasting method, they are mathematical in nature. They have certain objective. Some quantity is involved. So whatever result we are getting, they are quantitative in nature. The most important strength is its consistency or the consistency in the result. We will be able to consider the information and data at one time. Another weakness which is available, that is the non-availability of quantifiable data. There are many situations when we are not going to get the quantifiable data. I will give you one example. We were using petrol car, we were using diesel car, then CNG. Then the manufacturer who are going for a electrical car, they don't have the earlier data. They have the data of customer demand for diesel car, for petrol car, for CNG petrol car, but they do not have the data for the electric car. So how to estimate the demand? That is the weakness of the quantitative forecasting models. In case of time series analysis, we try to find out the future data or we try to predict the future data on the basis of the past data. We can pick model based on time to forecast, depending on the data availability, depending on the accuracy required. Then the size of forecasting budget. On the basis of that, we can pick up our model. Another important thing, the availability of qualified personnel. So there are 5 criteria on the basis of which we can pick the model under the time series analysis. The first and the simplest forecasting model is the simple moving average formula. Friends, we are discussing simple moving average formula. In simple moving average model, it is assumed that an average is a good estimator of future behavior. The formula for simple moving average is equal to the summation of all forecast demand or the actual demand for the particular period divided by the number of periods. So A1, A2, A3, A4, A5, they are the demand for 1 period, 2 period and 3 period, and the fourth is the N is the number of period. So here we have defined that FT is the forecast for the coming period, N is the number of period to be averaged, A T minus 1 the actual occurrence in the past period for up to the nth period. These are the sum of the formula which we are going to use, that is the forecast is the average of n previous observation, that Ft plus 1 is equal to 1 upon n and the summation of whole demand. And in mathematically we can give 1 by n summation of di, where I varies from 1 to n t plus 1. Note that n past observation are equally weighted. Here we are not saying that the most previous data is less important and the latest one is more important. No, for in simple moving average, all the data are equally weighted and are equally important. Now, what are the issues with the moving average? All n past observation treated equally, that we have discussed. Observation older than n are not included. Requires n past observation to be retained. Problem when more than 1000 or 1000 items are to be forecast. That means that simple moving average is for the number of items for a small quantity. Here we will give you an example that how the simple moving average method is depicted with the help of the diagram. On the left side you say that it is the period we are giving, and here we are giving the demand. So we include n most recent observation. We should weight them equally and ignore the older observation. We are taking a very simple example for the simple moving average problem. We have the data for the 12 weeks, and I have also given the equation that the demand for the 11th week divided by n, and here is 12 week. Question: what are the 3 week and 6 week moving average forecast demand? Assume you only have 3 week or 6 week of actual. I have given you the whole 12 week demand data, but in actual when you are solving this problem, you just think that you are only have the 3 week data or the 6 week data. Now we will see that how we are solving this problem. Now on the left side we have the weeks, then subsequent column we have the demand. Now we will calculate the 3-week average and the 6-week average. We know that we have only 3-week data. For the first question, we have only 6-week data for the second problem. You just see F4 means the forecasted data based on the 3-week data, that is coming as 62.67 when the actual demand is 785. So there is a difference. Similarly, when we are going to calculate or estimate the data for the 7th week, we have the formula 650 plus 678 plus 720 plus 785. We are adding up to 6 weeks, then divided by 6 we are getting 768.67, which is again different from the actual demand. So the difference is called the error. You just see 3-week demand and the 6-week demand. You will find as you are increasing the duration, your graph is more smooth. Plotting the moving average and comparing them, that shows how the line is smoothed out to reveal the overall upward trend in this example. 3-week data or the 3-week graph is smoother than the demand for the 6-week. As we have also studied, as you increase or the time horizon, the uncertainty increases. That is why your 3-week graph is more smoother than the 6-week graph. Another example we will take, we have the 7-week data, and again the question is what is the 3-week moving average forecast for this data. Assume you have only 3-week data or 5-week actual demand data. Now we will see that how we are going to do. You just see this table. For first question we have only 3-week data. For the second question we have only 5-week data, and then we can calculate the 4th week demand. We are coming that it is 758. Again there is a difference between the actual demand and the forecasted demand. If we calculate for the 6th week, we are getting 710, again using the same formula, and while actual demand is 600, again there is a error. But my focus is only that you should learn how we are calculating a simple moving average problem solution. Now after simple moving average, we have a weighted moving average formula. That means while moving average formula or by using simple moving average formula, we are giving equal weight to the each value. While in case of weighted moving average, we permit an unequal weighting on the prior time period. That formula is equal to, you just see the formula, we have assigned W1, W2, W3 as a weight in case of the moving average method. F T is the total summation, while in case of WT is the weight given to the time period T. Weight must be added to 1. That means if we are giving weight, all should be normalized. That is, the summation of all weight should go to 1. Here I have taken one example. We have a week 1, week 2, week 3, and what we have given, you just see T1 is equal to 0.5, T2 is equal to 0.3 and T3 is equal to 0.2. T3 is a weight for week 1 while T1 is the weight for T3. That means more emphasis is given to the recent data. So here with the help of this table we have tried to calculate that. You just see we have given 0.5 to third week data, 0.3 to second week data and 0.2 first week data, and we are getting the 693.4 as a forecasted demand. In another case, similar type of question is given, and here we have given the recent data. The weight is 0.7, then 0.2, then 0.1, and we have given the 4-week data, and on the basis of that we want to find out the 5th week demand or the forecast demand. And you just see we have calculated, we are taking only 3 weeks, so second week data we have given as a 0.1, then 0.2, and the latest one we are giving as a 0.7. So it depends on the decision maker what weight he should assign, and here you should observe 0.1 plus 0.2 plus 0.7 is equal to 1. As we have said earlier, the summation of weight should be 1. So we have calculated or we have determined the forecast demand for the 5th week, which is coming as 672. Another model is exponential smoothing method, where the formula is Ft is equal to Ft minus 1, means one earlier forecast plus alpha in bracket At minus 1 minus Ft minus 1. Now what is Ft? Ft is the forecast value for the coming 10th time period. Ft minus 1 past time period, means the forecast value which is coming before one period. A t minus 1 the actual occurrence in the earlier period, and alpha is the smoothing constant. And the most important thing, the most recent observation might have the highest predictive value. Therefore, we should give more weight to the more recent period. If you just see this diagram, as you are moving from recent to past, the value is going to decrease. So therefore, we are assigning more weight to the recent one. Now we will take one example of exponential smoothing problem. We have a 9-week data and our question is given the weekly demand. What are the forecast by using the exponential smoothing forecasting method for period 2 to 10 using alpha is equal to 0.1 and alpha is equal to 0.60. So we have a two solution, one for 0.10 and one for 0.60. We are assuming the initial forecast demand is the actual demand. So we have calculated the forecast demand on the basis of alpha is equal to 0.1 and alpha is equal to 0.6. You just see that we have a week 1 we have a demand 50, for 10th week we have demand 48. So we have calculated for each week with the help of alpha is equal to 0.1 and alpha is equal to 0.6, and you will find that the value is nearby. They are not equal, but they are very nearby the actual demand. For example, for third week we have calculated in this way, it is coming as 4.4960, while for using alpha is equal to 0.6, we are calculating and we are getting as a 47.60. With this help of this diagram, when we have a value 0.6, it gives more smoother value, or we can say that if the value of alpha is smaller, it will result in a smoother line in this example. We take another example for the exponential smoothing problem, where we have a given as a 4-week demand, alpha is equal to 0.5. Again, we assume the initial actual data is equal to forecast demand. So we have calculated, and for week 1 we have calculated which is coming as equal to 820, and for third week it is coming as 797.75. So again there is a difference which is also called as the forecasting error. Now we will come to the linear regression model. Till now we have covered simple moving average, weighted average, then exponential. Now another model which is a quantitative forecasting model is a simple linear regression model. What linear regression does, it seeks to fit a line through a various data over a time. This is a line. The dotted lines are the different forecasted demand, and the line is drawn between x-axis and the y-axis. Any point on y is defined by yt is equal to a plus bx. That means we have to find the slope of the line, we have to find the intercept a on y-axis, and it is called as a regression model. Yt is the regressed value, a is the intercept, b is similar to the slope of regression line. However, it is calculated with the variability of the data in mind. Its formulation is not straightforward as our usual notion of slope. So a is equal to y minus bx, while b is the summation of xy minus n into y into x divided by summation of x square minus n times x ka whole square. This is the value of b, and if we find out the value of a and b, we can easily calculate the value of y, which is the estimated forecast value for the tth period. Now we will come to a example. We have a 5th week, 5-week data of sales of a particular product. Now, what is the simple regression model that can be used to predict the sales in the future weeks? So, on the left side, we have a week, then x square, sales, then we have the value of xy. We can take the average. Last row gives you the value of average of weeks into week, then sales, then week into sale. So we can find out the value of b, we can find out the value of a. If you calculate and determine, you will find b is equal to 6.3 and a is equal to 143.5. So once we got the value of a and b, we can use in our regression model by calculating like yt is equal to 143.5 plus 6.3x. So if we plot the regression generated actual, we obtain the following chart. You just see what we have done. We have find out the value of a, we have find out the value of B on the basis of data which is available to us for the 5 weeks. Now we have drawn the figure, x-axis as a week and y-axis on the sales. You just see that how close the values are which were estimated for forecast with the actual sales. So that is the beauty of this model, and here we can conclude that with the help of regression model we are going to get the more accurate result as compared to simple moving average or a weighted moving average or exponential moving average. Now we will come to another important topic, which is a forecasting error. Why we do the forecasting error? Because we want to find out what is the difference between the forecast value and the actual demand. There are two types of error. One is called the bias error, one is called the random error. Random error we can't control, but the bias error we can control. Now, what are the measurement of error? First, we will see what are the different types of error. One is called the standard error, then mean squared error, then mean absolute deviation, which is a most common type of error measurement in terms of the forecasting. Then the fourth one is tracking signal, then mean absolute deviation, or in short it is called as a MAD. Like the standard deviation measures dispersion of some observed value from the expected value. So it sees or it seeks the deviation between the actual value and the forecasted value. The equation of MAD is the summation of absolute difference between actual value and the forecasted divided by the period. In other words, it is said that mean absolute deviation is equal to 0.8 times standard deviation, or in other words, if we know the mean absolute deviation, we can find out standard deviation by multiplied by 1.25. Ideal MAD or the mean absolute deviation is 0 when there is no forecasting error. If the MAD is larger, then it indicates that our model is less accurate. How we will calculate the MAD? We have the 5-month data. This is a sales data. This is a forecast data. So we will find out what is the MAD. We have calculated the absolute error, and if you just sum 5 plus 5 plus 20 plus 10, you will get the value as a 40. And if you put the value 40 divided by number of period, that is 4, you will get MAD as equal to 10. That means for the said example or the given example, the mean absolute deviation is equal to 10. With the help of MAD, we can find out the mean error in a set of forecast. Another important measure instrument is tracking signal. When there is a difference between forecast and actual values, one problem is to identify whether the difference is caused by the random variation or it is due to the bias in the forecast. Forecast bias is a persistent tendency for a forecast to be over or under the actual value of the data. We can't do anything about the random variation, but the bias variation can be corrected. The only way to control forecast bias is to use a tracking signal. Tracking signal is a tool used to monitor the quality of the forecast. It is computed as the ratio of algebraic sum of the forecast error divided by MAD, that is mean absolute deviation. So tracking signal, or in short we say TS, is a measure that indicates whether the forecast average is keeping pace with any genuine upward or downward change in the demand, Depending on the number of MADs selected, the TS can be used like a quality control chart, indicating whether the model is generating too much error in the forecast. Now, what is the TS formula? TS formula is running sum of forecast error divided by the mean absolute deviation. That will give you the value of tracking signal. Another important term which will come in the your forecasting topic is a collaborative planning, forecasting and replenishment. In short, it is called CPFR. What we do in CPFR, it is a collaborative process between the two trading partners that establish formal guidelines for a joint forecasting and planning. The CPFR, or the premise behind the CPFR, is the companies can be more successful if they join forces to bring the value to the customer. They are more successful when they share the risk of the marketplace and improve their performance. Then trading partners jointly set forecast, plan production, replenish inventory and evaluate their success in the marketplace. Why we use CPFR? It is used to integrate a multi-tier or n-tier supply chain, including manufacturer, distributor and retailer. The objective of CPFR is to exchange selected internal information to provide for a reliable, longer-term future views of the demand in the supply chain. CPFR uses a cyclic and iterative approach to derive a consensus forecast. It is a 9-step process. The first step, it establishes a collaborative relationship. It is a joint business plan. It creates a sales forecast. It identifies exception for sales forecast. It resolve, collaborate on exception on the sale forecast. It create order forecast. It identify exceptions. It resolves and generate the order. So these are the 9 steps used for the CPFR. Now we are using computer software for CPFR. Now there are 2 terms which is very important you to understand. Independent demand, that is a demand for a finished product such as computer, bicycle or pizza. Such demand requirement cannot be directly derived from the demand of other product. Another one is dependent demand. On the other hand, is the demand for the component part. That means we want to know the number of microchips in the computer, the wheels of the bicycle, cheese in pizza or the tires in the car. So the demand for the car tire depend on the demand of the car. Now we will summarize the whole session. Forecast play a key role in determining the material requirement that constitute inventory and establishing a production plan. In this session, you have studied the importance of demand forecasting in business. You should appreciate that forecasting provides a basis for coordination of plan for activities in various parts of the companies or in between the various departments. It provides a vital information to the company. Therefore, proper care should be exercised while estimating the forecast value. Developing a forecast system is not simple. It must be done because forecasting is a fundamental to any planning effort, whether planning for human resource, whether planning for equipment, whether planning for material. Forecasting provides a basis for the long run planning. It is in the functional areas of finance, accounting. Forecasts provide the basis for budgetary planning and cost control. Production and operational personnel use forecast to make the periodic decision involving the process selection, capacity planning, and facility layout. Similarly, the marketing division depends on the sales forecasting to plan a new product and make key decision. You have also studied the forecasting error, which is a difference between the forecast value and the actual value, and error can come from the variety of sources. So one should understand one the common source that many forecasts are unaware of its projecting past trend into the future. Errors can be bias error or the random error. Standard error, mean squared error, mean absolute deviation are the terms used to describe the degree of error which we have studied in our session. Many commercial forecasting programs are available, many forecasting softwares are available, which makes the job of a forecasting much easier. You can contact me on this. I am Dr. Ashish Agrawal, School of Engineering Technology. You can mail me at ashish@ignou.ac. You can try this number. Otherwise, it is always better to put a mail on my account, and I will definitely give you a reply. Thank you.